based on the chemical structure, technically it should have some DHT-like effects on these enzymes. And if it's not the parent hormone, then maybe some of these metabolites that the human body produces. But I've been going through all the steroids, all of the scientific literature, and dude, if you want like that the scientific literature is lacking, that's a severe, gross understatement.
Some of these other anabolic steroids like Proviron and Anavar and Primobolan, right? Like that don't convert or don't aromatase. And we discussed this, before getting on air, like, maybe adding a little bit of Primobolan to a TRT protocol. It was so hard to find this, Steve, but there is in literature from years ago, a suggestion that that it is inhibiting or occupying aromatase enzymes like Primobolan and Proviron. Can you elaborate on that? Like, what exactly is it doing?
Yeah, so of course, Primobolan, Proviron, Masteron, they're all based on dihydrotestosterone, right? Right. There's a good amount of scientific evidence that dihydrotestosterone both inhibits the aromatase enzymes, which if you really dive into it, it's mostly been investigated in cancers. It inhibits the aromatase enzymes in cancerous tissues, but then that hasn't been further investigated whether it does that in adipose tissue, right? And of course, we know with genetic polymorphisms of the aromatase enzymes, and they're a little bit tissue specific, and so we're extrapolating with the limited scientific evidence that we have. Okay, so DHT inhibits it to a certain extent,
right?
And Masteron, Proviron, and Primobolan are DHT derivatives, right? They're based on the chemical composition or the chemical structure of dihydrotestosterone with a couple modifications. So technically, they should work similarly, with slight various effects, right? They're all cars, but they're different kind of cars. Right? And then testosterone would be a pickup truck, and then DHT would be a Ferrari, and then you have like a Porsche and Lamborghini, and it's all like, it's similar. It's just all race cars, but they look a little bit different. So you can expect a little bit of different results. Right? Some drive faster than others.
Right.
Now, of course, Masteron, Proviron, and Primobolan, they convert in metabolites, and it's that through multiple enzymatic reactions, some of which you can detect in urine. That's for the doping test. So that those are being produced in humans. And then there's biotransformation using fungi and bacteria, which produces a boatload of other metabolites, which might have anti-cancer properties, aromatase inhibiting properties, or estrogen receptor blocking properties. So when you do research, like, oh, this is the one that inhibits the aromatase enzyme. So I found that for Primobolan. But these are being produced through biotransformation. And then you search these metabolites through the literature to see if the human body produces. It's nothing. So again, extrapolating from the limited scientific evidence. So based on the chemical structure, the molecular structure, technically it should have some DHT-like effects on these enzymes. And if it's not the parent hormone, then maybe some of these metabolites that the human body produces. But I've been going through all the steroids, all of the scientific literature, and dude, if you want like that the scientific literature is lacking, that's a severe, gross understatement. It's absolutely asinine how little scientific evidence there is on anything that's not testosterone and nandrolone.
I know. Yeah. I mean, so believe me, I go down the deep dives of trying to look up these compounds and understand every single facet of them. And you're right. Yeah. It's just so hard to fucking find it. And most of the time it just doesn't exist.
No. So Masteron's been very extensively studied in breast cancer. And then, of course, Primobolan and even Testosterone has been investigated in that context.
Right.
And it seems that the scientific community, you get one study which shows something, and then everybody jumps on board and like, I want to prove this, or I want to disprove that, like some sort of pissing contest.
Right. Right.
But they don't get inspired to research something else.
Yeah.
So I just did a deep dive on Testosterone, right? That will be released tomorrow, but it will be before this podcast goes live.
Cool,
so
man.
I found one study where they found that Testosterone actually initiates testosterone synthesis in the testicles. So it doesn't really shut you down. And then now there's 9 studies on the subject.
Right.
But that has never been investigated in other steroids. So you get one study and they're like, that's interesting. And then, some researcher in another country is like, I want to see if that's really true. gets the funding, redoes the study, and then a little bit different results. And then another researcher goes through the same process. So now over 15 years, you have the exact same fucking study with different results. And then good luck trying to get results from that.
Yeah, decipher that. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I know.
So with the Masteron, Proviron, and Primobolan, I think it's beneficial to control estrogen, but some guys don't respond well to Masteron. They say that they don't get any estrogen lowering effects. They get that from Primobolan. Yeah. And then vice versa is the same, right? They get it from Masteron, but don't get it from Primobolan. Because again, aromatase enzyme expression and the entire structure of the amino acids is just slightly different. And then the electron gradients, the way that it goes in there and then it, reacts with NAD plus or NADPH. It's just different for everybody. So again, experimentation. I do the research, see which ones is available to you, which one is affordable to you, and which one makes the most sense to you. Yeah. And then give it a go. Do some blood work before and after.
Yeah. Interestingly, man, I ran Proviron for, I want to say it was about a week, some time ago. It was UGL Proviron, but the source was relatively credible. And, all it really, I got to tell you, I definitely had a libido boost. It made me a little, man. I felt like I almost felt like, somewhat comparable to the high hematocrit symptoms that I'll get if hematocrit goes over 50. But also I felt very stimulated. Like I felt maybe a little borderline too much energy, I had to go walk it out to kind of resolve that. But interestingly, like I wasn't taking an AI at the time. And I did get from just taking Proviron on top of what was, I think, 140 milligrams of test a week. I was running everyday injection sub-Q, little bit of HCG. I did start getting like sore elbows, like some of my injuries that are being masked by estrogen. The presence of estrogen started to kind of creep back up. So I think it definitely worked for me in that regard, in inhibiting aromatase at some level.
Yeah, Proviron is very good for that. Proviron basically has two functions: inhibiting aromatase enzymes and inhibiting the sexual non-binding globulin. So testosterone gets liberated. And this is where the stimulatory effect comes from, because testosterone can be quite stimulating. This is where a lot of guys starting on TRT run into problems, and that with HCG monotherapy as well. They get insomnia. Right? So you have to tell them to inject in the morning, maybe slowly increase the dose, or look into their SHBG levels, because maybe they have too much free testosterone. And then, of course, testosterone contributes to glutamate levels and keeps GABA kind of suppressed. Right. And then you get, more stimulated. So, and if that increases caffeine sensitivity, then if you have your second cup of coffee at 4 o'clock, maybe you should have that at 2, so you can kind of metabolize by the time you want to go to bed. Yeah. All these little things, it's just experience,
Oh, definitely, man.
And it takes time to get that.